This morning, Iran revealing that its Natanz nuclear facility has been hit in an airstrike. That's the country's main uranium enrichment site. Iranian officials say there's no radiation leak. Iranian media claims the U.S. led the strikes using bunker-busting bombs. Israeli military says it is unaware of the strike.
Also overnight, Iran firing 2 ballistic missiles at a strategic U.S.-UK military base on the island of Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. It marks the regime's first threat to U.S. interests beyond the Middle East.
Meanwhile, President Trump offering the nation a hopeful update on Operation Epic Fury.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to talk about very quickly. Number one, there's a couple of things that are wrong here. Yesterday, or actually March 21st, the game changed. Whenever Donald Trump was just proven right, it's a good thing. But proven wrong, it's also a bad thing. Because now we're seeing exactly what happened here. This entire dynamic has changed. Trump was right. And it's good on one chance because we know that the intelligence is there. But at the same time, it's bad because these previous administrations have allowed Iran to get this far. They have allowed them to spin up these centrifuges and getting these missiles, these intercontinental ballistic missiles. They spoke about it there very quickly that they launched missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles at Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is like 2,500 miles away from Iran. They're spinning up nukes or spinning up information that leads us to believe that in that same ballistic missile range, they could hit England, they could hit Germany, France, Spain, depending on what kind of platform they're on, what those ballistic missiles are carried on. They could possibly hit Hawaii, Guam, the Marshall Islands, the Falklands. I mean, there's a lot of problems here. Number one, Trump's right. And number two, Trump is right. And I would love to get your opinion in the chat, because what we were told, what Tucker Carlson, what Joe Kent, Megyn Kelly, all these other people have told us is there's no reason to be alarmed. No reason to be alarmed. Okay. Just, keep your mouth shut. And that's just the way it is. But you can see here this uranium enrichment site. They've got underground area, the control building, electrical transformers, 440 kilograms of uranium. Hopefully it's buried under some rubble. I don't want this stuff accessible by anyone here. I want to play you a little more of this clip because this happened overnight, and this should change a lot of minds, but it probably won't. There's a lot of people that are just stuck on we're controlled by the people with little hats, and get over yourself.
Country's main uranium enrichment site. Iranian officials say there's no radiation leak. Iranian media claims the U.S. led the strikes using bunker-busting bombs. Israeli military says it is unaware of the strike.
Also overnight, Iran firing 2 ballistic missiles at a strategic U.S.-UK military base on the island of Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. It marks the regime's first threat to U.S. interests beyond the Middle East.
Meanwhile, President Trump offering the nation a hopeful update on Operation Epic Fury. Lucas Tomlinson joins us live from Dubai with the very latest details. Good morning, Lucas.
Well, good morning, Charlie, Rachel, and Griff. Natanz is one of the 3 nuclear sites hit over the summer during Midnight Hammer. It's located about 150 miles south of Tehran. As you mentioned, that's Iran's main nuclear enrichment site. A lot of centrifuges spinning that uranium-235 isotope, getting it from nuclear power grade to nuclear weapons grade.
Somebody said that the distance between Tehran and Diego Garcia, 3,300 miles. You're looking at kilometers, not miles. It's about, I did some research on this. It's about 2,300 miles. So you're 1,000 off. the calculation between kilometers to miles. I understand. I was in the Navy too. And, that's not something we do. But go ahead and check that out for yourself.
And for many, they thought that President Trump might send in ground troops to get some of this nuclear material. There's others that just want to blow it up and drop bombs on it. And that appears what happened last night. Now, President Trump providing his latest battle update brief on his way to the Winter White House on the South Lawn, and later posting about it on Truth Social, saying he thinks this war can be wrapped up perhaps rather quickly, sometime over the next few weeks. I'll summarize some of this because the producers tell me to keep it moving. We are getting very close to meeting our objectives as we consider winding down our great military efforts in the Middle East. The president talked about degrading Iran's missile capability, launchers, everything else, destroying Iran's.
I love this. Somebody in the chat. Wow, you mean Iran lied about their missile capabilities? Fresh. Imagine that. You get it, man. Whoever said that shines to God. You get it. You understand exactly what's going on here. And there's a lot of other people that are lying to us. There's a lot of other people that are lying, and I would believe that they're lying for clicks. They're lying for attention. They are lying for their own prerogatives, their own personal reasons. I'm yet to understand why or who is paying them. I hate to say it, but I might go down the whole rabbit hole that Hillary Clinton lived in. I believe this very well could be a China operation. I believe the other country that's staying really silent right now is Ukraine. I wouldn't put it past the Ukrainian government to pay for some of this psyop. I wouldn't put it past Russia. I wouldn't put it past North Korea. Because if they drag us into things, we lower the value of the petrodollar. Love to get your comments in the chat. Who do you think benefits the most with misinformation? I need another cup of coffee. But the misinformation, and now you've got the president of the United States coming out and just, ratioing these people, destroying Iran's defense industrial base. So there's two real targets here. And I believe the real targets are the enrichment site, because you cut off their ability to retaliate. You then cut off their ability to fund the retaliations with Carg Island and with the oil supply. You cut off their ability to load the gun. You cut off their ability to fire the gun. Now, I'm not saying that this is where that their ballistic missiles were launched from. I don't know that, and I'm sure CENTCOM knows that. But with a capability to send a ballistic missile that we were told they didn't have 2,300 miles, think about it. I mean, that's a weird move by this by the current regime. And Joe Kent, I'm sure that he's going to go on various platforms and talk about that. Let's go here. Right. Let me fast forward a little bit here real quick. And Trump's now talking about winding down the war with Iran. And I don't know if he's going to send in troops, boots on the ground, Marines, 82nd Airborne, SEAL Team Delta 9, whatever he decides to send. I don't care if he sends in Team America. If that's what the guy wants, then I'm trusting the guy. But the Iranian state media is already admitting that this strike hit, and that our intel shows that the core of this uranium enrichment site is neutralized. So while some people are calling for America to surrender its number one spot, we're going to talk about Tucker. He's telling us to quit being a superpower. We're doing the exact opposite. Trump is leveraging what we have, the intelligence we have, the troops that we have. You can see some bombers here on the air, the tarmac. I think it's beautiful. What I'm seeing right there is beautiful. And I am so pro Second Amendment. I think all of us should be able to buy a B-2 bomber. That's what I think.
To firing dozens of drones at Saudi Arabia and Kuwait and some here in the Emirates last night. Iran launching, as you mentioned, Rachel, 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles at Diego Garcia. Reportedly, one broke up in flight, scattering into the sea. The other destroyed by an SM-3 interceptor by U.S. Navy guided missile.
Okay, so here is the map. So Iran, coast of Iran, Diego Garcia, 2,300 miles, right? One broke up and I believe one was either targeted or missed. I don't know. There is a large, I wouldn't say large. If you've ever been to Diego Garcia, you know exactly what's there. There's a lot of signs that say don't swim because the amount of great white sharks in that area. But with that same radius, look at where they could hit. Anywhere in India, Saudi Arabia. You could see all these other countries around here. But we were told they didn't have this capability.
Destroyer. Of course, Rachel, the most optimal time to shoot these downs is an exothermic mid-course intercept that's outside the Earth's atmosphere, believe it or not, in outer space. For years, Iran insisted it did not have missiles that could fly this far. 3 weeks into the war, it's showing that Iran still has some reach. Earlier this week, Iranian drones hit a Saudi oil refinery in the Red Sea across the Arabian Peninsula. You can see on the map. Now, we also have U.S. and Israeli strikes continuing, of course, overnight. More Iranian leaders have been assassinated. The U.S. hitting over 8,000 targets across Iran, flying deeper into the country, which is more than twice the size of Texas. So a lot of targets remain. We're now hearing about more Marines heading here to the Middle East from the Boxer Amphibious Ready Group. She left San Diego earlier this week. The 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, the Pride of the Pacific, will take about a month for them to arrive on station. And overnight, it was relatively quiet here in Dubai. It actually rained and
rain in Dubai. So for those that are saying that we don't have a reason, all of those missiles that flew towards Diego Garcia flew over all of our ships in the Gulf there. They flew over all of our assets. Think about that. That's the one. And then at the same time, if they launch those at Germany, we've got a lot of troops in Germany. Here's the one thing that I would really like to understand. If we know that they are continuing to enrich uranium, we've got it right here, right here. If we know they're continuing to enrich uranium, do you not realize that they were probably also improving their missile capabilities that would carry these chemicals, this substance, these isotopes? For you Navy guys, you know what uranium is. Uranium-235, very similar to what we use to power our naval vessels, all of our nuclear vessels, power our reactors. There was a lady, I believe she was Secretary of State. I can't remember her name, but she sold 20% of our uranium to one of our enemies. Who was that? Who was that chick? I can't remember her name. I think it was Hillary, right? I think that's who sold all of our stuff. So let me ask you this. Yes or no in the chat. Tell me I'm crazy if this is a reach. If Hillary sold our uranium to Russia, which that's a fact. That's a fact. Hillary sells uranium to Russia. Does it benefit Russia to sell uranium, provide uranium to Iran? Maybe even, now I know this is a stretch, put on your tinfoil hat here. Russia gives uranium to Iran in exchange for oil, oil rights, oil deals, oil supplies. I know that's a stretch here. I mean, it's like I'm just asking questions for all the candidards. And if you're a grown man, you watch Candace Owens, I think you sit down to pee. That's just my opinion there. But I don't think that's a real stretch for us to now realize that this could have been this could be our own uranium being enriched in Iran via Hillary, via Russia. Think about it. And it could very well be funded by our government. Barack Hussein, Barry Soetoro, married to Big Mike Obama, sent them $6 billion. You could probably build a nice little uranium enrichment facility with $6 billion. Hillary sells uranium to Russia. I mean, this is all starting to sound like this whole little money laundering scheme, this whole little fraudulent package that they've going on. Somebody says 150 billion. Thank you, Scoop. Yeah, but that's a drop in the bucket for the amount of money we sent Ukraine. I'm starting to put some pieces together here. Ukraine wants to join NATO. We're in NATO. We want to leave. An attack on a NATO member is an attack on all of them. Wow. I don't think we're putting a lot of pieces together here by connecting some of these dots. It's starting to come together. The room is getting tied together with the rug.
Navy, their Air Force, we've knocked out their anti-aircraft. We've knocked out everything. We're roaming free. From a military standpoint, all they're doing is flogging up the strait. But from a military standpoint, they're finished.
President Trump says that it's for Iran's military, posting on Truth Social that he's even considering winding down the conflict, but still warning that the Strait of Hormuz needs to be policed. So let's bring in retired Navy SEAL officer and host of The Unsung of Arlington on Fox.
Whatever. I just don't care about that. Okay. I don't care about that. Go watch him on your own. I don't know who the guy is. I respect his military service. But it's all starting to really make sense. The only way to deal with this is to make a very large parking lot in the desert. They need more parking lots in the desert. I hope you go check that. It's 2,300 miles, Barry, 6484. I want President Trump to concentrate on America. Did deportation stop? Haven't heard anything about it. There have been no illegal border crossings, Jerrietta. So yeah, Trump is focusing on America. Also focusing on our protection from people that want us all dead. But great comment. Tom and Bella, thank you so much. New member. We always try to get new members. If you want to scan that up there at the top, you can become a member on the channel. So Trump is now talking about winding down the status there. Timeshare flies. Thank you very much. Texas Mouse, 17 months. But somebody said, why did Russia have 600 scientists in the nuclear sites before Midnight Hammer? I don't know. That's a good question. Very good question. I don't know where you confirm that, but that is a very good question that maybe we get an answer to, maybe we don't. But now we're starting to see other platforms, other news agencies cover some of this.
By Iran across the region. That includes attacks on a U.S. base in the Indian Ocean, as well as Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. All this is happening as hundreds of millions across the region mark the end of Ramadan with Eid al-Fitr celebrations. The situation remains very fluid across the Middle East, and in the middle of everything is news.
Gosh, I love some of the questions. If there have been no illegal border crossings, then why haven't the price of cocaine and other drugs skyrocketed? Sounds like we got somebody in the chat that's happy that the drug prices haven't went up. Jack Horror, are you upset that your booger sugar hasn't went up in cost? Wow. Okay. I did not have somebody complaining about the cost of booger sugar because of Trump. Trump did not raise booger sugar prices. Check. Let me put that one on the reasons to hate the president. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't have that one. Good job. Good job. We're going to keep moving here. Here's one for you, for all of you CNN watchers, and I know I've got a bunch of them. I know I got a bunch of CNN people here. How did CNN get this kind of access? How did whoever get this level of access? They were inside of the facility. Who did they? I've always heard gas, grass, or ass. Nothing's free. Somebody paid for this.
An Iranian underground missile city buried deep inside a mountain. a show of force aimed at Iran's enemies. A contingency plan to protect its precious arsenal from being eradicated by massive bombardment. Dozens of these subterranean fortresses are spread across the country. It's proof that Tehran has been preparing for a war just like this one for years and possibly decades. It's also from these mountain bases that Iran stores its mobile missile launchers, taking them.
How did CNN get this? Where did they get this? How, where, how much, who got paid, who, what, when, where, why, how many hand jobs were given for this one?
Out firing before hiding them back into the mountain to reload and avoid detection. The US and Israel want to destroy this threat.
Just like Hamas and their tunnels, Iran has funneled decades of state resources, not to their people, but into missiles and drones and proxies and buried